I noticed earlier when I was on the drums, I was like, what is the biggest difference between Wednesday night and Sunday? Because obviously you get a little more nervous on Sundays, and I'm thinking about all that. I was like, I think the issue is probably about 5 times through the service with the youth, I have to be like, all right, shut up. All right, stop talking. But with you guys, everybody's just looking at me the whole time. It's interesting to me is that they don't talk when their parents are there with them. Just joking. They're a great group. I said this from the beginning. I'm very blessed to have that youth group, not only because when I first got here, I definitely felt like I was challenged by them because I was like, oh, these people know the word better than I do. And I'm not saying that. I'm legit. Like the parents have done a great job because these kids know the Bible stories. They know the word. And that challenged me. Sorry, sore throat. That challenged me a lot, though, to get in the word and really have to just build my knowledge on that. So super good group. Never had any issues in there. I don't know. I just like them. I do like them. I really like this like hyping me up thing, but then it's always like because of Hannah. Like, okay, I get it. Okay. Sweet. All right. So, and I thank you, Pastor, for helping me out with graphics because I always kind of neglect to do that because I don't really know how. And so it's always cool to have some graphics up there. But we were talking about spiritual warfare today. I do this to the youth. I always used to when we had a smaller group, I could tell them, ask them to give me answers. But now there's 30-something kids in there, and if I ask for answers, we're there for 10 minutes. So first, with a raise of hand, and you can be honest because we're in church, who's ever been in a fight? I'm looking at, yeah, go ahead, yeah. I've been beat up before. I can't say I've actually ever been in a fight, but I've been punched before, that's for sure. But talking about spiritual warfare, I don't have a super long introduction because I wanted to get in this, but Webster's dictionary defines, by definition, a battle involves a combat between 2 persons or armies. It consists of any type of extended contest or struggle or controversy. In warfare, battles are fought on different fronts for different reasons, with different varying degrees of intensity. I'm not going to sugarcoat it by any means. It's absolutely crucial that the Christians, all right, Christians today, we got to talk about real stuff in the Bible, okay? We can't talk about, I know Pastor, what's he call it, sprinkles and unicorn dust or something like that. All right, it's absolutely crucial that Christians, we have to understand that we are absolutely in a spiritual battle constantly, okay? There's no way out of it, and I know there's some people that don't believe in that. Either way, you're in it. But the best thing we can do is educate ourselves. So today we're going to look at educating ourselves on who the enemy is, his schemes, and then how we can defend it. All right? So my first point is we're going to talk about the enemy in verse 12 there. Can you throw up verse 12? I'll be 100% honest with you. I just realized that I didn't put my own main scripture on my paper. No. Thank you, though. I am going to use the ESV if anybody's curious. All right. So we're looking at 10 through 12. Ephesians 6, 10 through 12. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. Verse 12 says, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, and against cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. I was super excited about this because I felt like this is a word that God's given me. I preached, me and this teens have dabbled into it in the past, and I was like, man, what a great message to have for Halloween. Who's excited for Halloween? Me and Chloe were like, yeah! All right. So, talking about the enemy. So verse 12. Paul is literally, he's just naming the enemy, okay? Just list it out. He says the devil. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood. The devil, evil rulers, authority, cosmic powers, and spiritual forces. All right? I think it's super important we understand that our battle is a spiritual battle, and it is not against the flesh and blood. There's a Greek word, and I haven't got to, I don't study Greek often, and I can't really say I studied it, but I looked in a dictionary, Greek dictionary, and I'm going to try to pronounce this. The Greek word for the spiritual forces is kosmokrator. Kosmokrator. And it means ruler of this world. In 2 Corinthians 4:4, it says, Satan, who is the god of this world, has blinded the minds of those who do not believe. All right, and so all these verses together, it indicates, this is what it's telling us, is that Satan, like we don't like to talk about it, we don't like to go down this road, but Satan, who is god of this world, he has major influence over people. He has major influence over our opinions, over our goals, over our hopes, our dreams, our views. And saying Satan is god of this world, we are absolutely on the enemy's territory every single day. We live on the enemy's land. Which is why we have to know who the enemy is, understand what he's trying to do, and know what we can do, right? Now, disclaimer, this is not to say that Satan rules everything and everyone in the world, okay? God is still a sovereign God, all right? Satan can only operate in this little box that God has given him. He has to operate in the boundaries that God has given him. Yeah, we still have to remember that God is what's the saying? God of gods and Lord of lords. Okay, we can't negate that, but we do have to be smart about the enemy and what he's trying to do. Especially, obviously, I'm in the school, so I tend to lean this way. Especially in the school and what he's doing in our teenagers. All right. 1 Peter 5:8 says, "Stay alert. Watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around a roaring lion looking for someone to devour." I realized this morning, I actually texted somebody, and I was looking through my sermon notes, and this isn't the greatest children's sermon to have, maybe. All right, John 8:44. "For you are the children of your father, the devil, and you love to do the evil things that he does. He was a murderer from the beginning, and he's always hated the truth because there's no truth in him. And when he lies, it is consistent with his character, for he is a liar and the father of lies." Listen, Satan is a murderer. Here, okay, I got this. Repeat after me. Satan is a murderer, a liar, and a lion looking to devour. Thank you. All right, Satan's job, all right, these spiritual forces, their job is to roam through this earth and attempt to gather as many people as they can. All right? Again, disclaimer. Once you've accepted Christ, like you've accepted Christ, it's not like Satan has power over you, right? All right, I'm not trying to... I feel like with this sermon we could go through 100 different roads here. But, disclaimer, if you've accepted Christ, all right, the Spirit of God is in you. Satan has absolutely no power over you. We'll kind of get to that later. All right. Listen, I don't want to spend too much time talking about Satan because he doesn't deserve it. There used to be an old song, and I was thinking about this. I think I was singing it in the house. I was trying to. And it was something about, get under my feet, devil, get under my feet, something like that. What was that? Does anybody know? Under my feet. I don't know. All right. What is that? Yeah, I knew Lisa would know it. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, listen. Okay. We named the enemy. All right, we know who the enemy is. Another disclaimer, and I thought of this earlier, and it's not in my notes. Listen. Just because things are happening in your life because the consequences of your sin does not mean Satan is trying to attack you. Listen, there's things that happen in the world just because you screwed up too. Sin. Oh, ugh, I hate consequences. First, I hate consequences because they hurt. All right, we're moving on. Let's look at his schemes. Now, this is important. This is important stuff because if we're not aware of where he's trying to come into our lives, to our families, to our kids, at that point, we're just kind of hopeless and we're blinded. And God does not want you to go into a fight blinded. Actually, that sounds like a fun youth game. Maybe we'll blind each other and get boxing gloves. I bet I could figure that out. That'd be cool. I don't have to look at our insurance claims, but... All right, talking about his schemes. All right, let's go to his schemes. 1 John 2:15 through 16. Do not love this world, nor the things it offers to you. For when you love the world, you do not have the love of the Father in you. For the world offers only a craving of physical pleasure, a craving for everything we see, a pride in our achievements and possessions. And these are not of the Father. These are of the world. All right, so John, he's warning us here. The word world here is referencing the corruption of human life, all right? The way of life. We understand that sin came in and we're just born sinful people. Okay? We automatically live in a sinful world. And John identifies what the world offers here. And this is how the enemy starts to get into our lives, right? Through temptation here. All right? First, sin. Sin's a terrible thing. Everybody, sin. I hate sin. Sorry, the youth, I could be a little more... They're fun. All right. Satan's main objective is to make sure that you do not spend eternity with Christ. Okay? And how he does this is through temptation. He tempts us. And this verse is breaking down the ways he tempts us. Okay? We're going to look at that. All right. Physical pleasure. Lust of the flesh. All right. Again, we were born into this sinful world. And our flesh, which is not our spirit, right? Our flesh wants to commit sin. The Bible tells us, no, Jared. Okay? Everybody say no, Jared, just because it sounds fun. No, Jared, all right? The Bible tells us that we are to live and walk by the Spirit, not by our flesh. All right? Because our flesh is wrong. Everybody smack yourself. Okay, don't do that. I don't know if I can say that. All right? But our flesh is wrong. And when we allow our flesh to rule, it takes over God's will for our life, and that causes us to fall to sin. I read a couple good examples here. I might not read one of the kids are in here, but listen, hunger is a natural instinct, right? Okay, we're talking about lust of flesh. Hunger is a natural instinct, but when hunger becomes a lust for food, you not only gain weight, it becomes gluttony, and that is a sin. The S word, sex, is natural instinct between a man and a woman in marriage, right? But when that becomes lust, that becomes bad. I'll just say bad, all right? All right, moving on. So the lust of the flesh. Now we're at lust of the eyes. It's this craving for everything that we see, okay? Just breaking down how the Satan tries to tempt us. He tempts us lust of the flesh, okay? He tempts us lust of the eyes. Lust of the eyes is the sinful desire to possess what we see, coveting in money, coveting in possessions. One of the 10 Commandments actually specifically talks about this. He addresses this. Exodus 20:17. Point at your neighbor, say, you, all right, now you don't have to repeat anymore. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, his male servant, his female servant, his ox or his donkey, and anything that is of your neighbor's. I have never had a neighbor with an ox and a donkey, or a servant. Actually, I don't know how that looks for us. But listen, we shall not covet other people's possessions. All right. So lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes. Now pride in our achievements, pride of life. This is anything that can lead to arrogance, pridefulness, boastfulness. When Pastor was hyping me up over here, I was like, humility. All right, moving on. All right, and this is very dangerous sin because this is the exact sin that's corrupted Satan's heart and got him booted from heaven. All right? All right, this stuff is extremely dangerous and we cannot take it lightly, and that's why we're bringing it up. So we know Satan is our enemy. He's tempting us. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, the pride of life. I did a lot of reading and research on some numbers here, and I'm going to read off some numbers. And I'm reading off these numbers to show you the severity of what is going on in the world. And I'm going to probably read it a little more directly because I don't want to misinform you with anything. So, Barna Research explores teenage views and behavior regarding the supernatural. That's this specific article. First, Barna Group is a visionary research and resource company located in California, started in 1984. Widely considered to be the leading research organization focused on the intersection of faith and culture. A little background there. Listen, all right, and after I give you this, I know a lot of you are going to want to faint because there's such heartbreaking numbers. But listen, 4 out of 5 students say they have witnessed supernatural themes in media during the last 3 months. Like, oh, that's not, I mean, it's everywhere, right? You look on TV, I mean, it's not uncommon to see some kind of demonic movie or something on there, okay? Well, listen, 73% of America's youth have engaged, okay, been a part of, they've engaged in it, at least one type of psychic or witchcraft-related activity beyond mere media exposure. So, not even just what they see on TV, they're engaging in it. That's a big number, guys. 1/10 of our teens have participated in a seance. Over 2 million teenagers in America say they have communicated with a dead person. I'm telling you, that's scary stuff to start messing with. The vice president of Barna, he states, if the spiritual world is elusive and controversial, one certainty is the prevalence of the supernatural dimension in mass media. Supernatural beings, stories, and themes have invaded, hence the word invaded. Okay, if you think of invaded, think of war. All right, he doesn't. Supernatural beings, stories, and themes have invaded America's entertainment choices, from movies, television programs, to books, to video games. There's literally video games people say they get scared of playing. I've never played, I don't know. After I got married, my wife took away my Xbox. I'm just joking. All right, listen. I say all that, guys, to tell you this war is literally everywhere you look. Raise your hand, just the teenagers, all of you over here, or Holly, Maddie over here. Raise your hand if you have a cell phone. Raise your hand if you're on social media at some point during the day. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's out there, and it's scary if you look at some of these numbers. Seriously, on your own, honestly. Look at Barna Research, okay? Barna Research, they have a ton of different stuff. It's terrifying. Teenagers are giving the supernatural the same treatment as everyday life. And that's where it's getting terrifying. That's where it's getting dangerous. I have a couple more numbers that just to show you how spiritual war is affecting us. On average, teenage Americans, okay, teenagers, all of you guys, this is a crazy number to me, they spend 7 hours and 22 minutes on their phones, not including homework and screen time for school. Dude, what do you do on there? I feel like you just have to stare at it at that point. Yeah, one of my little notes right here. That's how long you're supposed to sleep at night. It's 7.5 hours. You guys are on your phone for that long during the day. I'm not saying everybody, but I know some of you are. You've told me. Actually, ever since I started working here, I knew that was an issue. Just being on social media, just constantly when you're, when you're just downtime, constantly just pull out your phone. I just realized I don't want to be that guy. So every week I get this little thing. It says your activity has been down, by this much. And so I don't know. That's cool. Maybe you guys should look at something like that. Get off your phones. Go spend time with your family, dummies. All right, listen. Here's another number. All right. And I'm not even going to dig into this. I'm only saying this because I saw it and I was like, you guys can do it too. Hartford Health did a study in 2020 that found 90%, okay, that's 9 out of 10, 90% of teenagers in America have viewed at least once in their life. 90%. And they have a ton of other numbers on that kind of stuff there. I'll let you guys look at that. I hope that we're shocked a little bit. That's kind of embarrassing that our teenagers are, I think if I remember this right, it was like 73 or 83% that said boys see that at least by the age of 12. All right, students, you're not off the hook, but I am going to chat at the parents. Listen, disclaimer first, I understand I have not been a parent for long, but I am in the school every day. I'm with these kids all the time, so I'm going to talk at parents. I'm going to talk at parents just specifically for a second. Listen, we cannot, as a parent, be afraid to get a little overbearing with our kids. All right, we can't be afraid to get in their personal lives a little bit. Okay, I'm telling you, I wouldn't talk about this stuff if I didn't do my research and I didn't believe it 100%. That Satan is absolutely using social media, all right, the screen time, the communication with other people, all social media, to find a way to corrupt you. I mean, it's happening. Oh, remember what we talked about earlier. Satan's job, he's trying to destroy you. It said, what does it say? He's a murderer, he's a liar. I didn't even bring this up, but I know when I talked to the kids before, one of the things we looked at is schemes. If somebody talks about scheming something, that's not good. It's shady. We don't like slimy, shady stuff, all right? Parents, even if that means, and I know we don't like to, I want Chloe to like me all the time. You know, I want to be that guy. But we cannot be afraid to check their phones once in a while. And students, let me get at you for a second. You may be mad at them, but I promise your parents care more about your soul than they do if you're mad at them for a little bit. Your parents not meant to be your friend. Okay? All right, students, chat at you just for a second. You know better. All right, listen. Look at me. Point. This is what I do at the youth group. I say, point at me. Point at me when I'm talking to you. Point at me. Everybody point at me. Listen, you know better than anyone where the enemy is coming from because you're in it every day. You also have to do your job. You delete what needs to be deleted. You put something on your phone to hold you accountable. You stop watching what you need to stop watching. You stop listening to. You stop hanging out with who you got to stop hanging out with. You got to. You know why? Because I tell the youth this all the time. I swear, it's life or death at this point. We have to take ownership with our own relationship with God. Because when I said this like a couple weeks ago. Because when you walk out these doors, guess what? No one cares. No one cares about your relationship with God out there. They're not trying to help you. Now, I'm not trying to say like everyone's this evil person trying to get you. But you know what I'm saying. All right, super scary numbers there. We talked about the enemy. We know who the enemy is. We can, okay? We talked about his schemes, okay? We've got to be aware where the enemy is coming in. Now we're going to talk about the encouraging part. This is our stand. Ready? Finally! Everybody say, finally! Oh, come on, say it. Oh, my goodness. Finally! Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Verse 11 says, put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. The older I get, I was telling Hannah this last night, I was like, man, since I've been with you, I've had to kind of step up to some confrontation, and I don't like it. I have. There's just been a couple cases where I've kind of had to nobody likes confrontation, but sometimes there's a need for it, you know? Especially men, right? You got to protect your lady. Sometimes there's a need for confrontation. Some little third grade boy coming on Chloe, I'll kick him in the head. I ain't afraid. All right, crucial part of this text here, be strong in the Lord and the strength of his might. We have an issue, and our issue that we run into is that we put way too much emphasis on the enemy. I tried to look at it. Give me 1 second. I'm allowed to do this. when we were praying here, or when we were worshiping here. I don't even know which song it was at this point. But it said, my soul is focused on you. Something like that. I don't even remember what song it was. Listen, our issue is that we focus too much on the enemy and not on God. And he likes it. Listen, we start to fight the wrong fight. The battle is not against flesh and blood. Listen, I'm speaking to myself when I say this. We have got to stop blaming the school for what's going on in our kids' life, okay? With how they're acting. I know that's a lot, because, whatever. But we got to stop blaming political parties, okay? We got to stop blaming our president. Everybody's like, shut up. Yeah, see? All right, that's specifically why I wanted to talk about the enemy first, because we have to know who the enemy is, and we have to know that the people out there are not the enemy. They need Jesus just as much as you need Jesus. Everybody needs God. Listen, this is the exciting part. And if it was the teenagers, I would tell them to get up and jump with me. Listen, the fight, fortunately, has already been won. Listen, when it comes to the spiritual world, you have to stand in the strength of his might, or you're going to fail. John 16:33, I have told you all this so that you may have peace in me. Here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, because I have overcome the world. I'm looking for something. We've got to realize who the enemy is. We have to understand where he tries to come in. But there's God's big but. I like saying that. God's big but. He's always got a but. If you have made that decision to live for Christ, then you can stand victorious against the schemes of the devil. I'm going to start closing now, so if you guys want to start playing something. Our stand, this is our stand, that was the title of this, right? Our stand is to be strong in the Lord. John 16, it says, have peace, because he has already overcome the world. And I didn't forget, I didn't want to talk about the armor of God a lot, because we could go a whole other, you could have another sermon just talking about the whole armor of God. But listen, the Lord wants us to put on this armor daily, all right? It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Our relationship with God is not a marathon, it's a sprint. Okay? You can't just expect to get saved and everything just changed. It's every day you have to be strong in the Lord and put the armor of God on. And then you will be able to stand firm against the devil's schemes and strategies. And once you do this, I had a coffee cup that said this. It hyped me up every time I saw it. But once we do this, once we begin to realize what God, once you become saved, God's Spirit's within you. Once we realize what that means, what it means to have the Spirit of God in you, and you begin to put on that armor daily, and you be able to say no to the devil and his schemes, you can say, not today, Satan. I am armed and I am dangerous. Hypes me up. Romans 8:31, it says, if God is for us, and the Christians in the room, this should hype you up. Because I know we see it day after day after day, and it feels like, actually, I meant to say this earlier, it wasn't even in my notes. When I was researching, there was a word, and I can't even remember which word it was specifically, but it was talking about the fight, the war, the battle. And in the Roman times, when they fought, they won by, what was it? One of the opponents won by putting their foot on the other opponent's neck. Man, and don't we feel like that sometimes? There's definitely times I come home and I feel like somebody's just had their foot on my neck. But Jesus says, take heart, because I have overcome the world. Listen, we stand with the Lord. He's victorious. We've already won. Now, we do have to be smart and know who the enemy is and understand his schemes, because he's always trying to trip you up. As Christians, we can be very assured of this. There's a lot of verses about this. Confident, just being confident that one day Jesus is going to come back and take us. But there's also some people in here who do not have that confidence about standing victorious, because you have not made that decision. And it's a decision. It's your choice. You have not made that choice to live for Christ daily. And it's absolutely a daily battle. I've learned a long time ago, I never want to preach a message where people think getting saved just fixes things, because it doesn't. It does not fix a thing. But what it does do is, I have told you all this, that you may have peace. It gives us peace. We can have that assurance, we can have that confidence, because we know that Christ has won, and one day we're going to go be with him one day. Yeah. Stand with me. One of my classes that Brad and I went to, he was talking just about the gospel at first before he even got into what he was saying. And he's like, listen, if you're doing it wrong, if the gospel is not transforming people, the gospel is not meant to make you feel good. The gospel is meant to change your life. Listen, I'm speaking directly to the people who do not have this confidence of standing victorious with the Lord, because you have not made that decision to follow Christ and make him your Lord and Savior. You start putting down the lights now. It makes everybody real comfy. So I'm going to speak with two people here. We're going to have an altar call. Alright? Listen, I did my job with studying and trying to preach to you guys and getting this word into you. But now it's your turn. This is where you have to have both. You've got to have the knowledge of studying the Bible, but you've also got to have the experience with God. And the Holy Spirit's in this place. You've got to have the experience. So speaking to two different people here in this altar call, if you feel it, just start coming up here now, okay? If you have not committed yourself to living for the Lord, and you do not have that confidence, I want to come, okay? I want to pray for you. I want to help lead you to that. And now, this is anyone that says, you know what? There's some days I get home and I feel like there's been a foot on my throat all day. We talk about being victorious in the Lord, but sometimes we just don't feel like it. We don't feel like we're on the winning side. You feel like life's been throwing you down every which way over and over, and you just can't seem to get up. Part of that is you got to have faith. You got to have that confidence that he talks about, because I don't feel Jesus all the time. But I know that what he's done for me, and I know he's coming. But listen, I'm inviting you, speaking to everyone, I'm inviting you now, if you say, I'm ready to make that choice to daily live for Christ so I can have the confidence that you have, then come up here. And also to the people who you're saying, I don't feel like I'm on the winning side anymore. Talking to Christians, I don't feel like I'm on the winning side anymore. I want to pray for you, and I know others want to pray for you. With my soul. I'm going to pray, and you guys can start coming if you'd like. Lord, I thank you so much for this word, God. I thank you, God, that we are victorious when we are with you. I have confidence that you're going to take us back with you one day, Lord. I thank you, Lord, that you have named the enemy, God, and you have defeated him. I thank you for every person in here, God. And Lord, I pray just for If there's somebody in here, Lord, that has not received salvation, God, that they begin right now, Lord, that they just come up here and their lives can be changed forever.